Good morning. Today I thought that we would have a go at making a school sponge. Favourite of school dinners, every child I know loves school cake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you how we would do it in catering. A baker would tell you that they would measure the eggs out of the shell. I'm going to show you the easiest way of doing this. So it doesn't matter whether you have got 1 egg, 10 eggs, 77 eggs. What you're going to do is you're going to actually weigh the egg to determine how much of the other ingredients you're going to have. It means that, basically 1 egg will do 1 generous portion of cake or 2 smaller portions. So 2 eggs would do you between 2 and 3, 3 eggs would do you between 3 and 4, 4 eggs, 4 and 6. It goes up incrementally. It depends how much of a greedy pig you are. And it also depends whether you want some for now and some for later. And this mixture that I'm going to be doing with you is the mixture that I would use for cupcakes, I would use it for tray bake, I would use it for birthday cake if I want something simple. So I'm going to start with, and what we need is your eggs, some vanilla essence, and don't bother using vanilla extract or all the nice stuff. Use your cheap stuff, because in a school you would not get vanilla pods. It wouldn't happen. I'm sorry, but it wouldn't. Self-raising flour. You don't need baking powder unless you're using plain flour, but just use self-raising flour. Everything's in there. We're going to be doing a beating mix. If you're doing it as an all-in-one, you would need to add baking powder. But we're going to be doing this as a creaming method. Margarine. Normally I would say tub margarine, but I can't get hold of any at the moment. So I'm using this margarine, which is actually really soft. So it will give it a nice flavour and stuff. The other thing I can't get hold of at the moment, because of this damn COVID-19 nonsense, is sugar. I cannot get hold of caster sugar, which would be my first choice, and the sugar that I would recommend. I couldn't actually couldn't get hold of any granulated sugar either. What's that about? So what I did find was what nobody else wanted, because nobody else knows what to do with, is I found golden granulated, and I also found demerara. These 2 sugars, or light soft brown sugar, are completely and utterly fine. Let me explain. If it's got a bit of colour, it will have a slight caramelly flavour. So the darker the sugar, the more caramelly flavour you're going to get. It is slight. It is not, with the one that I'm going to be using, which is the golden granulated, you're not going to tell the difference. If I used white sugar, especially with the vanilla essence in it, you're not going to tell. So don't be frightened about swapping over the sugar. Ooh, bashing bowls. So just go for it. Just work with it. If you use a dark, soft, light sugar, you will get a definite caramelly flavour. So it's really good, especially if you're going to put a bit of cocoa powder in it or chocolate or whatever. Last thing that we're going to be doing is, at the end, we're going to be making an icing. And traditionally, it's a water icing that you would colour with pink food colouring or whatever. But a little tip for you. If you've got any squash, people call it squash cordial juice, I call it squash. It says there on the thing, squash. If you've got any squash in your house, use this in place of the water to colour your icing. You get a lovely colour. So this is going to be a really lovely pinky purpley colour with the icing sugar, but I'll do that at the end. And then you've got to have the sprinkles. Now, I'm also going to be doing a few cupcakes, because I want to show you a jammy donut, the cupcake that I do in schools as well, because I am actually full-time a school development chef. So this is my job, and it's the bit that I love. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is weighing our eggs. So let me just move all of my ingredients out of the way. And I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to be using a hand mixer. If you haven't got a hand mixer, good old wooden spoon, get those bingo wings flapping. You're also going to need some sort of scraper. If you haven't got one of these scrapers and you don't want to go and buy a scraper, and who does, if you get a margarine tub like this and cut around the lid, you can actually make your own scraper. It's perfect. So just make your own. But I'm not. I've got one. My dad gave me this. Actually, I took it after him. So I am going to be weighing my eggs first. Digital scales I would highly recommend. They are fantastic. They make your life so much easier. Don't be frightened of them. big bowl, little bowl. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is setting my scales on and turning it to 0. And I'm going to be doing a 6 egg, this size tin. And I want to make a couple of cupcakes. So this will make a decent, between 6 and 8 decent slices of cake. Decent. So this is the tin that I'm going to be using, as I said. And I'm going to be putting a piece of paper into it. Don't bother greasing it. All you need to do is wet your tin, stick your paper in, and it will actually stick using the paper. So don't waste oil or margarine or anything. Just use that. And you don't need to line it all the way up the size of the tin. I guarantee in schools, 99% of the cooks there will not be standing there lining it all nice and neatly. All you want to do is get it out a little bit easier for you. So, my eggs weigh 340 grams. So I'm now going to weigh out 340 grams of every other one of my ingredients. So I'm going to use my big bowl because I'm now going to start putting what I'm going to be mixing it into. So press 0. You've got 0 or tar. This takes the weight out for you. So I know that this block of margarine is 250 and I want 340 of everything. So I've got 329, 343. You don't have to be dead on accurate. You can if you really want to, but it doesn't matter. 3 or 4 grams is not going to make a great big huge amount of difference. I'm now going to press 0 on this, and this takes the weight out, and I'm going to be adding my sugar, and I am going to be using my golden granulated, if I can find a knife. So 340. Oops, gone mad. Take a bit of sugar out. Oops. Oh, silly me. I'm alike. Okay, so I've got in here 340 margarine, 340 of the sugar. And the last thing that I'm going to weigh into my small bowl, ready for later, is my flour, 340. If you've got plain flour, you'll need baking powder. If you did this as an all-in-one mixture, which means everything goes into the bowl and you literally beat 7 bells out of it, you will need baking powder. But we're going to do it as the creamy method. So that's my flour, ready for later. And I'm going to crack my eggs into a jug, ready for later as well. And then basically I'm set and ready to go. 1, oops, bit of shell in there. And we're ready. So, let's leave that there. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. You might need a little bit of milk as well. It is optional. Some people like to put it in. It depends how thick my mixture is and how much I've creamed it up. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is, this will get noisy, but I am going to turn the sound down and I'm going to speed it all up so that it's not completely and utterly boring. I might even cut a little bit of this video out just to show you. And what you're going to do is you're going to cream this so that it is really soft, light and fluffy. And I remember this instruction from when I was at school. Make your cake mixture creamy, soft, light and fluffy before adding the eggs. That was Mrs. Sibley. She was a bit of a dragon. Anyway, right, creamy, soft, light and fluffy. So I will see you in about 5 minutes once this is done and then I'll show you. Welcome back to the noise. The eagle-eyed amongst you will notice that my bowl has changed. This one was way too small, so I upped it for a big one. So make sure that you put yours in the right size, so as big as you've got, possibly got. Okay. I have now got soft, light and fluffy. Like that. All right. I have continuously scraped down my bowl to make sure that I'm getting it all down the bottom. The bigger that your sugar granules are, the more that you need to work on this, which is why I said right at the beginning, if you have got caster sugar, it's the best because the grains are so small, they actually melt and then combine with the fat which means that your mixture won't split, and that's what you're trying to avoid. But because, and it's not going to make any difference to your final cake. People say to you, oh, you want to avoid it splitting. It's not going to make that much difference. It's really, really not. So don't worry if it does. Because my granules, because I'm using the granulated sugar, are quite big, the chances are that this is going to split. However long I take doing this process, and I've been creaming this up now for about 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do now is add in my eggs one at a time, a little bit at a time. So, little dollop. Whoa. And it'll get noisy. And you want to mix it in a little bit at a time. Don't wallop it all in together. Bit more egg. Use your scraper and scrape it all the way down into the bottom of the bowl. Because all the time it's up the sides, it's not getting any egg and it's not getting mixed in. So just keep on doing this until all your egg is mixed in. So I'm going to do another little bit.